Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Psalms chapter 145, verses 3 and 7 through 9. Great is Yahweh, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. They shall abundantly utter the memory of your great goodness, and shall sing your righteousness. Yahweh is gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger, and of great mercy. Yahweh is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Yah's been good to me.
Well, all of my life, Yah's been good to me. Oh, all of my life, Yah's been good to me. All of my life, well, Yah's been good to me. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good to me. Down through the years, Yah's been good to me. Oh, down through the years, hey, hey, Yah's been good to me. Down through the years, Yah's been good to me. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good to me. Through sickness and pain, Yah's been good to me. Oh, through sickness and pain, Yah's been good to me. Through sickness and pain, Yah's been good to me. He's been good. 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 Well, all on my job, Yah's been good to me. Oh, all on my job, I got a friend that Yah's been good to me. All on my job, Yah's been good to me. He's been good. 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 He's been good to me. All of my life, Yah's been good to me. All of my life, man, Yah's been good to me. All of my life, Yah's been good to me. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good. He's been good to me. All in my home, Yah's been good to me. All in my home, well, you know that Yah's been good to me. All in my home, Yah's been good to me. He's been good. 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 He's been good to me. All of your life, Yah's been good to you. All of your life, well, you know, Yah's been good to you. All of your life, Yah's been good to you. He's been good. 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 He's been good to you. All of my life, Yah's been good to me. All of my life, man, Yah's been good to me. All of my life, Yah's been good to me.
He's been good.
He's been good.
He's been good.
He's been good. He's been good to me.
He's been good.
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 He's been good. He's been good.
He's been good.
He's been good.
He's been good.
He's been good. He's been good to me.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is, excuse me, peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I wanted us to go off into a few things because sometimes after being in the Word for a while, we start to get to what we call more advanced concepts. And you have to make sure that when we get into these advanced concepts that we don't lose sight of the things that is ultimately going to affect our salvation score, if you will, the things that Yahweh is going to ultimately judge us by. You get to, that point where we say, hey, we've been in the Word for a little while, so, now we're going to deal with meat. What we don't understand is some of the very first things that we learn in this book. We learn about the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments mean one thing when you first enter into the Word. As you grow in understanding and you go back and read it, you're going to find out that it's way bigger than what you thought it was. It appeared that way because that was the only thing that you knew of. So you were able to make and draw a few lines in correlation. When we go back and examine those things, we then find why Yahweh went on emphasis mode when it got to those particular things. You know, it's one of those things that we can definitely go in this book and say, okay, there's over 600 laws. But he didn't say 600 laws when you stood before him. He didn't give you 613 laws, statutes, and commandments, and all of that. He didn't give you all those things. He didn't have you stand there and listen to all that. He had you stand and listen for a certain amount of things. Why? Because those things were going to be the basis to take care of all the rest. But what ends up happening is we'll end up focusing on the rest and end up stepping on the base points. It's like the individuals who push for the fringes and forget what the fringes are actually for. The fringe then becomes the law and not the reason for you to keep the law. Wearing a fringe is not a commandment. It's not one of these 10 that he says, all right, this is something you got to do. No. It was set for you to remember to keep the commandment. We then elevate it and make it on the law with remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Oh, no. The fringe don't have that weight. Because everybody don't need to wear a fringe to remember the things that they're supposed to do. But if you need that, then do that. But this is just one example of how we end up letting some of the other things outweigh the things that are supposed to matter. Now, what Yahweh has done in elevating some of these things, he's letting you know just how quickly these things can come upon you. Just how deceptive some of those base things are, where you believe you are okay, but you're wallowing around in it. So we're going to go into some things. Today's sermon is entitled The Deceptive Nature of Covetousness. And we're going to begin at Exodus chapter 20. And we're going to read verses 1 through 17. Exodus chapter 20, and we're going to begin that at verse 1.
And Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh your El, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make unto you any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
So when we then allow people to coerce us into angel worship, and we get pulled into that, whether we're dealing with somebody's calendar or all of whatever that is that we get lured into, once we get lured into this angel worship, we've already broken these things. But we're too busy focusing on that point. We're focusing on, we're going to righteously keep the calendar that Yahweh has given us. And then we end up stepping on the part of dealing with images on our way to try to keep a calendar. Because every last one of them books, you're going to find all these so-called images of angels all over the place. And now, to try and do that, we stepped on this. So you can't use a law to step on a law. This is not man's courtroom. Go ahead.
You know, even brother, even when it said the thing that is in heaven above, but everybody like to rock this Star of David. Is the star image in the sky? You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am a jealous El.
You know, brother, you talk about that. You know, it's one thing that, you know, some people have it on a necklace. You got others that they have it on all their clothing, all of these things. It's everywhere. And then the image becomes more important than the thing that we're supposed to be doing. It's just like, you know, the serpent on the pole. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be made, if they had gotten bit by a serpent, they would look upon it they would get healed. What happened? Instead of worshiping Yahweh, they began to put all the power in the thing and started worshiping the snake on a pole. To the point that our forefathers had to go and destroy it. This is, you have to know the nature of your people and understand that you got that in you. And when you understand that, you create some speed bumps, if you will, for yourself. That you get to a certain place and you realize you've done a few things that, you know what, hold on. Bro, I thought we were going to go to such and such. No. I ain't going there today. Yeah, but that's why we got together. We were going to go here. Yeah. But I feel myself doing something. I feel myself doing what my ancestors did. I'm putting a little bit too much power in the thing. No. I'm finna back up from that. Go ahead.
The only thing we concerned about our ancestors is the health issues. You know, diabetes running my family, so I ain't gonna eat this, or I ain't gonna do that,
right.
and that and that. What about the nature?
Right. My uncle was alcoholic. we don't think about that. My daddy was an alcoholic. Okay, then you already know. If you looking at it like that, then why are you drinking like that? You got 4 or 5 alcoholics in your family. See, we'll deal with it with certain things until it comes to something that we like. See, if we like that sauce, we're not gonna talk about how many sauce lovers in our family. Go ahead.
For I, Yahweh your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the lawlessness of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yahweh your El in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your El. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates.
If you notice, Yahweh kind of shows you what's important. There are certain things that he can explain in one line. There's other things that he have paragraphs, and he's talking about this thing. He's letting you know, okay, this is going to come upon you unawares. There's certain things you know you've done. Then there's other things. He's like, okay, this one is going to be tricky. Let me make sure I explain, what I'm talking about here. And I mean, he goes deep in dealing with these things of the Sabbath. You, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, your cattle. He's letting you know that this carries weight. And it's one of the first things that man changed. Go ahead.
For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yahweh your El gives you.
Right. Honoring your mother and your father don't mean that you're going to worship their God. It doesn't mean that you're going to take their direction over the direction of your Elohim. And see, that's something that everybody who comes in this word at some point is going to have to figure out. That if Yahweh tells you to go left, but your mother and your father say, you should come right, you got to make a decision. Whether or not I'm going to please my mother and my father, I'm going to please my Elohim. And he just got through saying that he's a jealous Elohim. You think that don't include your mama and your father? Just to keep Abram out of mess, he waited till his father died. He already knew what it's going to be. You're going to show more honor to this man, and then I'm going to have to do something to you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wait till he passed. And when he passed, he went on to put him on that journey. Then one step, what did he do? He took a hold of what his daddy had took a hold of. His daddy had brought forth Lot. So he took on Lot. What Yahweh do? Separated him and Lot. At some point, this word may cause you to make a decision. Don't let that honor your mother and your father get to the point where you lose your salvation in the process. Because what he got for your mom and daddy may not be what he has for you. He may have something deeper for you. What you gonna do? Go ahead.
You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal.
You know, you see how quick he explained though? In and out. You should not kill. You should not commit adultery. You should not steal. No matter what language you speak. This is the same everywhere you go. You can see somebody arguing and not understand the language. Say, oh, I know what's happening now. What happened? He took that stuff and he didn't pay for it. You don't understand nothing, but you understand that body language and that anger. You cannot speak the language. See, 2 men and a woman. You understand what's going on? Oh, I know what's going on right there. Back up, baby. There might be some bullets that fly in this one. Universal. Go ahead.
You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's.
Now, he goes into this the way that he went into the Sabbath. I mean, he goes all the way. He should have said, you should not covet something that belongs to somebody else. That could have been one sentence. No. He went in. You should not covet your neighbor's house. You should not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's. No, he's making a point. Now, the question is, why is he making that point? Because he's letting you know that this is one of the base things that's going to get you to everything else. All that other stuff, you can say, I know not to commit adultery. I know not to steal. I know not to kill. Here's the problem. Coveting is going to lead you to every last one of the other ones. Sooner or later. Brother, read the definition for covet.
Covet from H2530, kamad, a primitive root to delight in, beauty, greatly beloved, covet, delectable thing, great, delight, desire, goodly, lust, be pleasant thing, precious thing.
All right, so when we hear a thing about lust, we automatically go to a physical nature. But we have to understand that you can lust over anything. You can lust over food. You can lust over vehicles. You can lust over a whole lot of things. We end up limiting what we know about lust just because of the things that, we hear and watch how people deal with things. Let's go to Micah chapter 2. So the very first word in covet or kamad is to delight in. Now, here is where that thing gets deceptive already. There are things that are beloved, that are delectable, that are goodly to look at. The very first thing that it says is to delight in. So that means it must be somewhere that we're able to draw a spiritual line between admiring what our neighbor has and not desiring what our neighbor has. That means that there's a line there. Because, this doesn't mean I have to downplay everything my neighbor has, so that I don't delight in it. No, I can tell my neighbor that is an awesome vehicle. I love that. But he don't come home and find me standing on top of his sunroof, looking in it. Hey man, what you doing? I told you this was nice. I told you that last week. That don't mean you. Bro, go back to your house. Go back. Go now. See, so there's a line. Micah chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
Woe to them that devise lawlessness and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away.
They covet the fields. So when they covet it, they first delight in it. After that, they act on it. See, coveting is like a speed bump if you stop there. You desired it, you caught yourself, so you didn't go to that next level. But if you go past that speed bump too much in coveting, you're going to end up doing that next part, and that's that part where it says they take them by violence. Go ahead.
So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Therefore thus says Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which you shall not remove your neck, neither shall you go haughtily, for this time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled. He has changed the portion of my people. How has he removed it from me? Turning away, he has divided our fields. Therefore you shall have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of Yah. Prophesy you not, say they to them that prophesy. They shall not prophesy to them, that they shall not take shame. All you that are named the house of Jacob, is the spirit of Yahweh straitened? Are these his doings? Do not my words do good to him that walks uprightly? Even of late my people is risen up as an enemy. You pull off the robe with the garment from them that pass by securely, as men averse from war.
Mm-hmm.
The women of my people have you cast out from their pleasant houses. From their children have you taken away my glory forever. That was it.
All right. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 5. So we can get into some examples of some of these things. So we can look at the steps. Because when we understand the steps of how something happens, that is the only way that we stop ourselves from going that way. You know, it's easy to see a burnt down house and say, you know what, that house is burnt down. But there was a spark somewhere that started that inferno. If you can backtrack to figure out where the spark came from, you can make sure your next one don't burn down. So we have to reverse engineer some things. This is what they call it when they find an enemy weapon. They reverse engineer it. They take this thing apart to try to figure out how it was originally put together and how to make it work. So when we get to one of these situations that, you know, hey, this caused the house to fall. All right, let's reverse engineer it and figure out, okay, how did it get to that place? What happened? When we can figure that out, then we can sit in our own living room and say, okay, I need to move this, that need to go, and this right here need to be built up. 2 Kings chapter 5, and let's start that at verse 15.
And he returned to the man of Elohim, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, behold, now I know that there is no El in all the earth, but in Israel. Now therefore I pray you, take a blessing of your servant.
So this man has received a blessing. And at this point, he wants to pay and give some appreciation for the blessing that he has received. All right, go ahead.
But he said, as Yahweh lives before whom I stand, I'll receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray you, be given to your servant 2 mules, burden of earth? For your servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto Yahweh. In this thing, Yahweh, pardon your servant, that when my master goes into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leans on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, Yahweh, pardon your servant in this thing.
So he's saying, look, this is my job, okay? And in my job, I'm going to do something that is going to appear as if I'm going against you. But it's my job. It is not, I will offer up nothing but unto Yahweh. But the man I work for, he does something else. So somewhere in there, I don't know, you might just peek in on me one day. And I don't want you to see what you see and think that that's really me. Now, how many of us would operate like that? See, we got the extremes, extreme left, extreme right. Some of us just would have just quit the job right there. Whole family starved. And said, no, we starving in righteousness. Ain't no righteous way to starve. Go ahead.
And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of Elohim, said, Behold, my master has spared Naaman this Syrian, and not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as Yahweh lives, I'll run after him and take somewhat of him.
Right. So now Gehazi wants payment for a job he didn't do. He didn't hear the man. Yahweh didn't even use him to hear the man. His master orchestrated this. But he feels that man should have to pay. Go ahead.
So Gehazi followed after Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master has sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray you, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments.
Now, that's a lie. All right, now, it says, thou shalt not bear false witness. Now, you see how the coveting, the desire that he's had, has now caused him to lie. Now, one thing has led to another thing, all on the job that he didn't do. He didn't do this job. But he has decided that the job has value. And this man has substance. So this is that thing where you'll notice with some people that the price of things are on a moving scale. Whereas you ask somebody, hey man, I need you to do a job, right? And they look at you. They say, yeah man, I charge like $150 for that. And you say, all right, cool. Then they come to your house and say, oh no, I didn't know you had all that. My goodness, this is nice right here. Look at that. Look at me. Now, you know what? On third thought, what happened to the second one? On third thought, this is going to cost about $1,500. This definitely going to cost about $1,500 in here. I mean, how big is that television? You know what? You know what, man? Get out. Get out. Get out. I had a brother come to my house. I had to put him out. He gave me one price. Didn't even enter into my house. Just got outside and just figured that that there were too many vehicles there. And the price must be higher. Who is driving these vehicles? And the price just got, and I'm watching him look around, and if you pay attention long enough, you can hear the calculator. You're like, what? Where's this sound coming? I can hear the paper rolling. I said, look at this cat. Cat told me one thing here, man. I come in check it out and I'll give you a price. Got there and said, well, you do know there's a consultation fee, right? Oh, so it's a fee for you to look at it and tell me what the job will cost? I said, really? That's interesting that fee didn't come up until you've been here 30 minutes. I said, tell me what's that price? He said, consultation is $75. $75 right here in your hand. But that's the last dollar you ever gonna get from me. You have just tinkled on thousands for $75. You about the dumbest businessman I've ever seen. Hit the road, Jack. Covington. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And Naaman said, be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags, with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed.
So not only is there a situation where he's lied, now he's operating deceptively in hiding, these garments. Go ahead.
But he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said unto him, whence cometh you, Gehazi?
Right. Whence cometh you? Now you're gonna hear terms like this when somebody really been off into some evil. Whence cometh thou? You're gonna find that this term mean more than what you think it means. Understand, when he asks, what's cometh thou? He know where you been. The question is rhetorical. You understand why the adversary was asked? It was time for them to present themselves, and Lucifer came also. From whence cometh thou? Oh, okay. You gonna understand that has some meaning. Go ahead.
And he said, your servant went no whither.
Now, these lies are coming. Back to back to back now. So the desire for this thing, some clothes. All right? This is what we do for a polo shirt. The brothers had said, we're going to, film a little thing for the video, and we're going to go up to Lenox. I had flashbacks, when I was younger. We did some stuff that wasn't right down there at Lenox. And while we were down there, the security guard came and said, look, y'all can't be here. I said, you know what? That's probably that stuff I did when I was little. He like, look, I let you not get caught then, but they gonna run you out of here now. That's for that stuff I let you get away with last time you was at Lenox. Now get on out of here. Go ahead, bro.
And he said unto him, went not my heart with you when the men turned again from his chariot to meet you? Is it a time to receive money, and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maid servants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto you, and unto your seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow.
He is now a leper as white as snow. Now, I need you to listen to something. The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto you, and unto your seed forever. So there's some extremely white black people around here. What? He said forever. Your seed forever. All because he desired a couple garments. So this deceptive nature of coveting has led to an entire curse on a family. Let's go to Luke chapter 15. And you got to understand something. He wasn't looking for this. This ended up, what Gehazi ended up being into was like a crime of opportunity. It just presented itself. He didn't go looking for it. You know, we know there's situations where people go out and they're looking to get off into something. That wasn't his situation. He wasn't looking for it. It was a crime of opportunity. It presented itself and he went with it, and his entire seed is now cursed. Imagine 3-4 generations later, these people asking, you know, why we don't look like Uncle now? Well, one time your daddy wanted some shirts. Yeah, it was in Macy's down there at Lenox. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. It's a hard conversation to have, boy. It's a hard conversation to have. Luke chapter 15, and let's start that at verse 11.
And he said, a certain man had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided unto them his living.
Now, here is what's interesting. Covetousness is so strange. It will cause you to covet what's already yours. It's already his. But wanting what's yours before you have the mental capacity to handle it is a problem. It's yours. I got it for you. I stacked it up for you. But if I give it to you now, you are going to waste it. You can do evil to yourself. I coveted me. It's his stuff. He's coveting his own stuff. But his action shows that he's not ready to have his stuff. But what daddy do? All right, here you go. See, this is kind of power that we got with Yahweh. When you ask for something, he know you ain't got no business with it. True individual said, give us a king. He said, all right, now I'm telling you what kind of king you gonna get. The king gonna do you. Then he gonna take your kids, gonna take your daughters, he gonna do all this stuff. All right, nevertheless, give us a king. All right, king it is. So he asked for this stuff. He is not mature enough to deal with this. And we are just not man and woman enough to admit when we're not ready. So we say, give me mine now. Go ahead, brother. Did you have something?
I was going to say, isn't that what Eric and Lyle Menendez did? It was already their stuff. They couldn't wait.
Right. Say, you're going to have all this when we die. Shit. So when you plan on dying? Because I'm trying to. That car I seen you in, Dad. I'm trying to be that thirsty. It's thirsty. It's Tuesday now, so I'm gonna give you a couple days, Daddy, to figure out this whole death thing out. What? Something wrong with you? Yes, I'm covetous. There's definitely something wrong with me. But it's your stuff. It's already yours. Go ahead.
And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he
proving that he was not ready for it. See, covenant, it says to delight in, all right? To lust. He lusted after his own stuff. He was not ready to have that. And at the end, he will not have that. Go ahead.
And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine.
So he went from high on the hog to feeding the hog. All because he coveted his own stuff and desired it too early. Go ahead.
And he would fain fill his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him.
Now, when you are eating the slop that the pigs eat, you pretty low. Cause you know how they feed the pigs is all the stuff that's left over from everything. I'm talking about the quarter apple, the peel of the orange. You know what I'm saying? Just whatever left over. You know what I'm saying? That little bit of grease that was left in the chicken pot. All that. You just keep dumping it in there. And you can tell when you're going to feed the pigs, it sounds nasty on your way. You know, cause the food move. You step, you're like, oh my God, this is disgusting. You dump it out there, boy, them pigs go at it. How they at it, Jack? You mean to tell me you've gone that low? Coveting has brought you down that low. You are now worse than you were before you got it. Go ahead.
Isn't that what they say about most lottery winners?
Yep.
And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger?
Now, he has to come to himself after he loses everything. It says he came to himself. Why he came to himself? Because he ain't got nothing else blocking his view. And some of us, that's how we have to be over and over again. The only way we come to ourselves when we ain't got nothing else. He comes to himself. He has nothing else. Now, regular thought is back. You know what? My daddy got servants and they eat better than I'm eating. I'm in here eating slop with the pigs. I wasn't eating slop before I got my money. Now, how is it he didn't realize that when he was carrying the slop? Right. He had to know everything was gone before he could see again. We have to consider, why does Yahweh keep putting us in certain situations? You have to learn how to be able to see while having. If not, you are making sure that he got to make me destitute and homeless. He's got to make me this because it's the only time I'm going to pay attention. I wrote a song years ago called Worst Enemy. And it was about me. I said, I did this to me. I said, when I'm happy, all I'm going to do is sit on my... I had to recognize something about me. That it was a certain amount of turmoil that I was just going to have to go to because it's when I got up and did things. Go ahead.
Verse 18, I'll arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I'm no more worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father, but when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and had compassion, and ran, and fell on his neck, and kissed him.
Right, this is us coming back to Yahweh. Okay? As sons, we have inheritance. But some of us are ready to cash in on our inheritance now. And he like, what, son, I hadn't taught you about money management yet. Now I'm ready to cash in. Son, I hadn't taught you how to deal with properties. No, I want mine yet. Son, do you know what a dividend is? Son, you're not ready for this. Go ahead.
And the son said unto him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat, and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry.
So he was eating the pig slop, or desired to, And all he had to do was recognize what he had done. Recognize why he was in that situation. And he gets the fatted calf. Interesting. Now, we know that coveting is desiring something that belongs to someone else. In this last case, we saw coveting when it is yours. But coveting is so deceptive that it will cause you to desire something that you don't even desire. The value of the item then is based upon the value in the heart of the other individual who possesses it. Let's go to Genesis 31. So it's easy to see that, hey, we lust over something that we want. It's strange when coveting gets to a point that you now desire something just because it's desirable to somebody else. This is, coveting is now getting on a whole nother slimy scale. Genesis 31, and let's start that at verse 1.
And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's has he gotten all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And Yahweh said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of your fathers, and to your kindred, and I'll be with you. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the el of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father has deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but Elohim suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ring straight shall be your hire, then bear all the cattle ring straight.
So then, he didn't have to steal inventory to get his money back, right? Yahweh changed the inventory. So, we think we going through something. Man, I've been working, man. You folks ain't paid me, man. You know what I'm talking about? But I saw that nice lawnmower head out there. I'm getting that. Hey. Man, that's a zero turn, too. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do, zero turn back. I'm getting that. Yahweh said, I know they playing with your money. You think I don't know they playing with your money? Go ahead.
Thus Elohim has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me.
Taking away the cattle of your father and giving them to me. They changed my wages. Yahweh changed them back. I ain't got to go be slick to try and steal what he done stole. I'm going to steal from the stealer. But that's what we do. That's what brings forth our covetousness. They done took some of this mine. So now we looking around to see what we can take from them. Stuff we don't even want. We don't even want this stuff. But it looked like it might mean something to them. Go ahead.
It's bad when you're trying to get other people to justify your wrongdoing. What do you think I should do?
You're sizing it up. How much you think this will go for at the flea market? Yeah. Go ahead.
And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream. And behold, the rams which leapt upon the cattle were ring straight, speckled and grizzled. And the angel of Elohim spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now your eyes and see. All the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring straight, speckled and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban does unto you.
Whoa. He said that after. Our problem, we're looking for that before. See? Now, what if he acts on his own and decides, I'm going to get my payment that Laban owed me. I'm going to take care of this. Yahweh doesn't speak until afterwards. Look, you see, hey, all them speckled and grizzled, everything he said, right? All of it, who took care of you? He didn't talk first. He talked last. Go ahead.
I am the El of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you vowed a vow unto me. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return unto the land of your kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he has sold us, and has quite devoured also our money.
So now they angry. You know? Go ahead.
For all the riches which Elohim has taken from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now then, whatsoever Elohim has said unto you, do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. And he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padam Aram, for to go to Esaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to share his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's.
All right, so remember now, she's angry, saying that, you know, he has stolen her stuff. So now she's going to steal his stuff, but she don't want the stuff. She stole her father's gods. She don't worship the God. It only has value because it has value to him. And she wants to hurt him. Jump to verse 25.
Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore did you flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and did not tell me, that I might have sent you away with mirth, and with songs, and tabrets, and with harp, and have not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? You have now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the El of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take you heed that you speak not to Jacob either good or bad.
Right. Be careful what you say to my servant. Folks still ain't figured that out yet. Be careful what you say to my servant. Yeah. I know you like he married to your daughters. You like uncle, whatever, blah blah blah. Hey. Be careful what you say to my servant. See, this is the stuff that get us in trouble. See, Miriam thought she could say anything about Moshe. You know, that's my brother. Yeah. Go outside for a while. I don't understand. When he said, no, let her go outside the gate. I don't think you understand what he means. Think about the woods outside the back of your house. And this woman got to go out there for 7 days. No. If her father had been spit in her face. No. She going outside. She going to learn from this. You don't open your mouth to my servant. Yahweh taking care of that business up, not him. See, this is how Yahweh make believers out of somebody. That's why you have to step back, sit down, and go somewhere and take care of Yahweh's business and watch him take care of yours. He'll make a believer out of them. Go ahead.
And now, though you would needs be gone, because you sore longeth after your father's house, yet wherefore have you stolen my gods?
He even confused. Come on, man. Bad enough you done took my daughters. I lied to you. You worked long for them. But man, why you stole my gods, man? See, that's just wrong. See, I know you ain't worship that. What is, man? Hey, whoever you find with your gods, let them die. We don't have no reason for your gods. Unknowingly cursed his wife. Because she stole those gods. He knew. Here is how coveting is deceptive. He know that his wife does not desire that. He does not believe that his wife would steal her father's image. But she didn't steal them because she desired them. She desired something that she didn't even desire. This is how situation and circumstance cause us to get caught up, because something means something at this moment. Why does it mean something? Because it meant something to somebody else. Doesn't even mean anything to you. And you done sold your soul for it. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 15. Second Samuel chapter 15. See, while we digging off into trying to add up all the times in Daniel, we tripping over the stuff that's actually going to get us thrown in the lion's den. Second Samuel chapter 15, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
And it came to pass after this, that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him.
All right, now this is David's son, and he's going to make himself king. He's desired to be the next ruler, and he want to take this from his daddy because he knows his daddy not going to give it to him. Go ahead.
And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called him unto him and said, Of what city are you? And he said, Your servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, your matters are good and right, but there is no man deputied of the king to hear you.
So he's got to get himself in a position to be able to win over the hearts of the people. He says, see, your matters are good and right. Everybody's matters can't be good and right. But this is how you make your friends while you campaigning. Go ahead.
Absalom said, Moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which has any suit or cause might come unto me, and I'll do him justice. And it was so, that when any man came near to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand, and took him, and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
Right, he stole the hearts of the men of Israel. You see how easy it is to steal our hearts? Go ahead.
And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray you, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto Yahweh in Hebron.
That's the 40 years of David's rule, not him. Go ahead.
For your servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, If Yahweh shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve Yahweh. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigns in Hebron. And when Absalom went 200 men out of and with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom.
So, part of this thing, because he wants the leadership role, he then gets his father's counselor. So, here is another level of covenant. Because he wants the father's position, he has to possess something that was the father's. And getting his counselor is step one. Go ahead.
And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword.
All right, jump to chapter 16.
And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba the servant of Meshabotheth
Jump
met
to
him.
verse 15.
Oh, verse 15?
Yeah.
All right. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai, the Archite, David's friend, was come on to Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, Elohim save the king, Elohim save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this your kindness to your friend? Why went you not with your friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, No, but whom Yahweh and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so will I be in your presence.
So then he is coveting this spot, and he has now pulled all these other people into his covetous desire. Go ahead.
Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do.
So this is the counselor who was with his father. Now, he is then going to give some counsel. And you have to think about, why does he give this counsel? Go ahead.
And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto your father's concubines, which he has left to keep the house. And all Israel shall hear that you art abhorred of your father. Then shall the hands of all that are with you be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house. And Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of Elohim. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with Dawid and with Absalom.
All right. So Yahweh has turned the counsel that was normally good into evil counsel. But why was he okay with this? Because he needed to possess something that was the king's. He has his counselor, and now he has his way with the 10 concubines left to keep the house. And you have to consider some things in how people operate. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 2, because we're going to go into this same concept a little deeper. 1 Kings chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 13. So this is another one of Dawid's sons. And this is how Yahweh deal with you. You ever have an issue dealing with a woman, Yahweh gonna make sure that he return that favor. 1 Kings chapter 2 and start at verse 13.
And Adonai the son of Haggith came to Bathsheba, the mother of Shlomo. And she said, Come you peaceably. And he said, Peaceably.
Now, this man had already tried to make himself king as well. All right? So, and he believes in his heart that he could have been. All right? So he wants the spot. Now he's going to try to orchestrate something else. Go ahead.
He said, Moreover, I have somewhat to say unto you. And she said, Say on. And he said, You know that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I should reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about, and is become my brother's, for it was his from Yahweh.
Now, but you know it was mine. You know, but I mean, you know, Yahweh, you know, he chose your son. Go ahead.
And now I ask one petition of you, deny me not. And she said unto him, Say on. And he said, Speak, I pray you unto Shlomo the king, for he will not say you no, that he give me Abishag the Shunammite to wife.
Now, why does he want Abishag the Shunammite? He said, look, tell me you're not going to say no. Ask your son, the king, to let me have Abishag. Now, you have to understand who Abishag was. This was the woman who was put in the bed with the king in his old age to give him heat. And she laid in the bed with him, and they said, all right, now we know he had his last days because he's, you know, we put a beautiful woman in the bed with him, and he said he wasn't interested. So that ain't like King David. Read.
And Bathsheba said, Well, I'll speak for you unto the king. Bathsheba therefore went on to King Shlomo to speak unto him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her, and bowed himself unto her, and sat down on his throne, and caused a seat to be set for the king's mother, and she sat on his right hand. Then she said, I desire one small petition of you. I pray you, say me not no. And the king said unto her, Ask on, my mother, for I'll not say you no.
Now he loved his mama. So even getting the mother to make the petition is already some slick stuff. Go ahead.
And she said, Let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah your brother to wife. And King Shlomo answered and said unto his mother, And why does you ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also.
Ask for him the kingdom also. Why? Because she somehow belonged to the king, which now makes her desirable. Not that he actually desires her. He's desiring her for the man she laid with. Go ahead.
For he's mine elder brother, even for him, and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah. Then King Shlomo sware by Yahweh, saying, Elohim do so to me, and more also, if Adonijah have not spoken this word against his own life.
He said, yeah, I said it wasn't going to happen to him, but he going to die now. See, he knew automatically how evil the desire was. I know why you want her. See, you want her to establish yourself as king, which is going to come later on, but you're going to use the position of the woman to do it. Now, we have to then consider the game of chess right here. Now, the queen is often considered the most powerful piece on the chessboard at times. She is placed next to the king on her own color. The game is not over when she is lost, but if your opponent has a queen and you do not, you may find yourself at a considerable disadvantage. Like the king, the queen can move in any direction. Often in a quarrel between men, the queens become desired by the ops as a declaration against their enemy, not because they desire the queen. If you look at some of these situations between rappers, and some of them are dead, you'll find the queen that was used as a pawn in their beef. They didn't desire the woman because she was pretty or she was shapely. No. The only desirable part of the woman was that she was with the other guy before. Go look at the beefs and find out how many baby mamas are in the beefs. And sometimes these women are not aware that you're in the middle of a war. He does not desire you. You are being used in this. Now, there are times when a covetous spirit doesn't desire something because it's desirable. The covetous spirit desires something because it belongs to somebody else. There are situations where two people in the room are offered something. One accepts, but the other denies. The one that denied then asks for the thing that they denied earlier once their companion received it. What happened? The value of the thing increased in value once their companion received it. They don't desire it because it's desirable. It's the same thing that they earlier turned down, but now it is in the possession of someone they admire, love, respect, or even envy. The value of that person, place, or thing has now skyrocketed, and that item has become the most desirable because it now belongs to a certain someone. Some people have actually gotten into relationships because the individual once belonged to someone they either respected or emulated. You know, I watched some stuff before, and it was strange, and I didn't know what I was witnessing or why. I watched a brother take a drink out of another brother's drink, and I realized that he was coveting that drink because that brother had put his lips on it. There were other drinks steps away. That brother could have easily gotten another drink, could have got a brand new one. But he desired that one. His covetous spirit said, I want the one that he had. Later on, somebody taking plates to the trash. Brother reaches in between the trash plate and start eating food that also belonged to another brother. What is that covetous spirit? It's on its way to the trash. It has no value. To most of us, it would have no value. But because it was eaten by somebody else first, it now has value. What kind of spirit is that? See, then we got to get into the goats of disobedience at this point. Now, it is written that the sheep will be separated from the goats. The sheep represent the faithful, obedient. The goats represent the unruly and disobedient. When we examine the character of these two animals, we find that they generally behave in the fashion of the future separation between them. The sheep follow the voice of the shepherd, while the goats do as they please. They are unruly and thus represent damnation when it comes to the topic of salvation. The separation between the sheep and the goats is inevitable. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 16. Leviticus chapter 16. And we're going to read verses 1 through 10. So there's certain things that when you get down to that separation, the separation between Abram and Lot was inevitable. Yahweh was not going to be able to move forward with Abram as long as Lot was there. The sheep and the goats have to be separated. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It has to happen. Leviticus chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 1 through 10.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe after the death of the sons of Aaron, when they offered before Yahweh and died. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Speak unto Aaron your brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with a young bullock for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with the linen mitre shall he be attired. These are holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on.
Right. With the linen mitre shall he be attired. This is a head covering. It says these are holy garments. Yet you're gonna run into these street preachers, these gang of street preachers, who then end up getting into an altercation with another gang of street preachers. Because they claiming territory. They blood and grip. You know what I'm saying? So but they're gonna ask you why you got something on your head. Yet this book says constantly that the priests have a head covering. And these people will go out and get the finest costumes that Party City got, but leave the hat in the store. If you spend all that money in Party City, why you ain't get the hat? Go ahead, bro.
And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself and for his house. And he shall take the 2 goats, and present them before Yahweh at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for Yahweh, and the other lot for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which Yahweh's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before Yahweh, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness.
Now, when we read this, I guess it's human nature. We always want to be the one left alive. The desirable one is the one that Yahweh offered up, though, right? This is where things get confusing. We want to be the one let go. Okay, here's where things get interesting. I want you to read the definition of scapegoat.
Scapegoat from H5799, Azazel. From H5795 and H235, goat of departure, the scapegoat, scapegoat.
So the goat of departure is Azazel. Now, remember that we started reading some stuff and dealing with these angels that you were hearing in the book of Enoch. Some things going to start to connect here. Go to one of the breakdown words. Go to the next definition.
H235, strong. Azal, a primitive root to go away, hence to disappear, fail, gad about, to go to and fro. But in Ezekiel 27:19, the word is rendered by many from uzal, by others yarn, be gone, spent.
So this whole situation of going away. So you then find this whole situation of this Azazel. Now go to Genesis chapter 4, and we're going to see how Yahweh was dealing with portions of the law, and he didn't tell anybody.
You know, brother, when you look at that word Azazel, you know, it says the Gentiles seek after knowledge. They got a little show, I forgot what it was, that I think it's, I forgot what it is right now. But in that's what Lucifer's name is.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
Supernatural,
where I'm
I think it
going
is.
with this. It's very interesting when you get to it. But watch the whole concept of the scapegoat in Genesis chapter 4. And we've read it many of times. But you don't really see Leviticus 16 when you read Genesis 4. And let's start it at verse 1, and we're going to go to verse 16.
And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I've gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. And Abel he also brought of the firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof, and Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell.
Now, he's angry and his countenance fell. But we understand he's not really angry at the brother. He is angry that the father has not accepted his offering. He desires then the spot that the brother has with the father. All right? So this is where the covetous part comes in. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, Why are you angry, and why is your countenance fallen? If you does well, shall not you be accepted?
Should I not accept your brother because he did better than you? Should I not accept him? Go ahead.
And if you does not well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And Yahweh said unto Cain, Where is Abel your brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
So he desires the position or the relationship that his brother has with the father. So he coveted that. In process of doing this covetous act, he now kills his brother. So coveting has now led to murder. All right. Then his father asked about his brother. Then it led to lying. I know not. Go ahead.
And he said, What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. And now are you cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you tilleth the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth.
A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. So you're going to be forced to move around. You're going to go from here to there. Now, it says Lucifer was Azazel, right?
Mm-hmm.
What it said, from whence cometh thou? Mm-hmm. Okay, here go the wanderer. Keep reading.
And Cain said unto Yahweh, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from your face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth.
Right, from your face shall I be hid. So then one was accepted by Yahweh. It was sacrifice. The other one was not. It's been let go in the wilderness. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that everyone that finds me shall slay me. And Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slays Cain,
Now this always sounded unfair to me. He killed his brother, and Yahweh makes sure he don't die. The sin is you got two goats, right? All right. One of them is approved. It is sacrifice. We don't ever want to be that one. All right. Then one of them is let go into the wilderness, carrying the sins of the children of Israel. Here you go. Go ahead.
vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him.
Right. You can't kill the scapegoat. He's got to carry the sin of the children of Israel. The other one gets killed. See, the other one is accepted by Yahweh. Yahweh didn't accept this one. We don't ever want to be in that part, though. Rather interesting. Now, one of the things that stuck out to me when researching the book of Enoch was the very first of the fallen angels was named Azazel. They even surnamed him in their little book, calling him Azza. Now, I'm not giving credence to this being a real occurrence, but I can see how the name was developed. When we get back to the Hebrew word for scapegoat being Azazel. Now, going into some of their other things, Azazel in Jewish legends, Jewish, is a demon or evil spirit to whom, in the ancient rite of Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, a scapegoat was sent bearing the sins of the Jewish people. 2 male goats were chosen for the ritual, one designated by lots for Yahweh, the other for Azazel. Now, in many Islamic and Islam-related tradition, Azazel, in Arabic, Harith, is the legendary prototype of the devil in Islamic culture. Azazel was considered to be among the nearest to Elohim's throne, but because he sinned through pride, he became a devil. So then we get back to the thing that's now being presented to us. We would always see this Baphomet, all right? This goat, all right? The Baphomet is the goat of disobedience. It has opposing reproductive organs, so it is indeed trans. The Baphomet, which is a goat, is the symbol for Luciferian worship. This could be where the name of the first fallen angel comes from. He is the ultimate coveter, as he coveted Yahweh's position, proclaiming that he will be just like the Most High. All of his violence, all of his lies, all of his wicked imaginations were all the result of his covetousness. As it is written, these have been delivered unto Satan so that they learn not to blaspheme. We have to start paying attention to the things that we think we already got under wraps. It says, be careful. He who stands, lest he fall. Thinking that, you know what, I done read this before. I got this down. I didn't read Genesis 4 and come up with the scapegoat. You don't get that first couple. You don't get that first 2, 3, 4, 5 times you read that. But as you start going into things, you start to see, wait a minute. This evil desire to covet a spot that did not belong to him has caused the whole heaven to be broken up because of his desire. Let us consider those things because this is the kind of thing that can sneak up on you and you don't even know that you're walking around in it. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.